boy Ulsas, and in today's episode, we are going to continue right from where we left off in the previous episode. So last episode, we were building out our voice recorder functionality before my laptop decided to crash on me. So unfortunately, I had to split that episode into two separate episodes. So what we want to do today is to be able to actually preview the recorded voice message and also to be able to make sure we're tearing down and we're cleaning up those audio recordings after we are done leaving the chat room screen. So I've gone ahead and created this to-do list for today's focus session. This is what we were supposed to complete yesterday in the last episode, but we are going to get started and focus on today's task. The first thing I want us to do is to jump into our chat room view model. And really what I would like for us to do inside of our chat room view model is for us to be able to, actually, let's go to our media attachment preview. So inside of our media attachment preview, I would like for us to be able to click on this, where's the audio attachment preview? So we have this audio attachment preview, components that whenever we're done recording an audio, we click on that and it's going to show us the media player view. So that way we can listen to what we just recorded. And right now, this is the current state of our project where we left off in the last episode. When we click the microphone button, we have that animation. We're going to also handle that today along with the timer, displaying the timer. So when we click stop, right, we get this media attachment preview that is presented. What I want us to start with is when we click on this microphone right here, I would like for us to actually be able to listen to the voice message. So there's two things that we need. Obviously, we're using the media attachment struct to power the data model that displays those previews, that displays this media attachment preview. What we need to do is to go inside of, so let's go inside of this media attachment struct. So I'm going to command click into it. And what I would like for us to do is to add some sort of a URL. Actually, we already do. So we already have a file URL. And the next thing I would like for us to do is to actually add an audio URL as an associated value of our audio case. Just like we did with the video that allows us to be able to play a video, I would like for us to do something similar right here. And I'm just going to go right ahead and add an audio URL, associated value. So I'm just going to call it URL. And it's going to be of type URL, not URL request, URL. And I might as well just go ahead and also add a duration. And you're going to see why we need the duration when we are about to actually upload the voice message to our backend. So I'm going to go right ahead now and jump back into our media attachment preview, right? Our chat room view model. So we have our audio file. It should yell at us right here where we're creating our audio attachment, which is good. Now we're going to create it again. And now it's asking for a URL and a duration, which is perfect because remember, we have this audio URL here from the last episode. We're going to pass that right in there. And we also have the audio duration. We are also going to pass that in there. So now I'm going to go right ahead and run our project on the simulator and let us actually record a voice message and make sure that it is actually doing what we want it to do. That is, we're able to preview our voice message, but we're actually getting an error. And this has to do with our equality operator. So I'm going to go right ahead and jump into this message attachment type again, this media attachment type, excuse me. And right now, our media attachment type should be able to figure out what's going on. I'm not really sure why it's... Oh, okay, let's go back. So inside of our media attachment preview, what I want us to do now is, for us to be able to check if the attachment type is audio, we need to have some sort of a stub. So let's see. What I want us to really do is I want something like stub URL. I think we have a stub URL. Perfect. And I would like for us to do something like stub interval as well. Let me see. Can we do something like that? Stub time interval. We don't have something like that right now, or we could just go right ahead and add a 0. It doesn't really matter because remember, the equality operator doesn't care about the associated value inside of our media attachment type. As you can see, we just want to make sure if it's of type photo or if it's of type video or audio. So let's go ahead and run our project now that we've fixed that error. Let's wait for everything to boot up on the simulator and let us jump to our channel tab screen. Excuse me, guys. Sometimes it takes a couple of seconds on a fresh boot for the simulator to actually do its thing. Come on. All right, so in our channel tab screen now, let's go right ahead and actually record a new voice message. So I'm going to say, hey, this is our first voice message, and I'm going to hand, and now I'm going to click on this. Oh, dude, I forgot. Okay, so we forgot to add an action handler to this microphone, and let us go right ahead and actually do that right now. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to jump into our media attachment preview, and inside of our media attachment preview right here, for the audio attachment, what did we call it? This audio attachment preview function, so right now, it's actually not a function. Well, it's not a button at the moment. And how do we want to do this? We could either do it as a, let's think here. We could either have just straight up add an untap handler, or we can actually, what am I saying? I'm sorry, I'm tripping. We have a play button, right? Right here. So the play button, we have an action handler that says play. So why is that not playing, right? And let's see. Let us try that again. Why is that not playing? Okay, if we jump into our chat room view model, right, and we have our, let's see, we have our play media item, right? It says show media item right here, and it's getting the file URL. Okay, let's jump into our media attachment. So I'm going to click into this file URL. Inside of the file URL, oh, this is why. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why. So our computed file URL property is returning nil. And of course, we know that our audio URL now has an associated URL. So I'm going to go right ahead and actually fix that. So we have our URL. I'm going to say like URL is, is of type URL, and we don't really care about the second associated value. So I'm going to return the URL here, which is our audio URL. And we could just call it voice URL for, better documentation. Oh, and then let's see. Let us run our project again, and we should be able to actually preview our recorded voice message. Channel tab screen, go in QA user 50. Hello, this is our first voice message. Hello, this is our first voice message. Voila, that is awesome, guys. That was a good job. All right, so we have the first task done. We're able to actually record voice messages. Hello, this is our first voice message. Let's record another one. Hello, this is our second voice message, right? And when we're done with that, that is perfect. So we're actually able to preview the recorded audio messages. So that means we're appropriately exporting the URL. What I would like for us to actually do is to, of course, append the name, the audio file name, and also for us to be able to remove the actual audio file right here. So right now, if we remove it, I would like for us to delete that audio file from our, file manager, from our document directory right now, because it's actually not doing that. So we're going to go right ahead and handle that. And the first thing we want to do is to fix the UI side of the equation. So I'm going to go into our media attachment preview. Instead of our ZStack here, we have this, instead of our audio attachment preview, we have our text MP3 file here. And let's see, I want us to give it a better name. And how do we get the name for this? So I'm going to go right ahead and just say item.file URL. Wait, did we call it item or attachments? Attachments.file URL. Remember, we have a file URL, absolute string. And I'm going to default that to an optional, I'll just say unknown. Unknown. And what else do we want to do? So I think that's pretty much it. And let us run our project. And let us try that again and see what happens. We should hopefully get the actual name of the file. So let's go right here, QA user 50. Hello, this is a new voice message. We click recording. Look at that. We have our file name right down there. So that is awesome. Again, let's validate. This is a new voice message. That's awesome. The one thing I want us to quickly do is when we click this cancel button, like I said, I want to remove that and delete that from our file manager. So for us to undo that logic, we're going to go into our chat room view model, and inside of our chat room view model, where are we actually removing attachments? Well, look at that. There's this remove attachment method right here. So inside of this remove attachments method, how do we actually clear out our, audio URL? And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come right below this remove attachment. I'm going to say if item.type is equals to, audio. We need to pass in a stub URL, and I'm just going to put in, a stub time interval. Okay, so what do we want to do here? Well, I would like for us to be able to say voice recorder service dot delete recording. So this is currently locked. I'm going to remove this. Let us jump into our voice recorder service and see if that method is private. So I want to delete a specific recording. So that is private, and I would like to make that publicly accessible from outside of this class. So let's go back to our chat room view model now, and let us just access and directly call that delete recording at. And where do we want to delete the recording from? Well, the file URL. So I'm going to say let attachment. Actually, I'm going to move this unwrapping right here, this audio unwrapping. Actually, I do need that. So I'm going to come down here and actually just unwrap it. Actually, we could just optionally unwrap it right here. Unwrap it right here, file URL again. And I'm just going to delete that audio recording. So essentially when you remove, or when you click on that cancel button for audio recording, I want to delete it from our actual, file manager. So attachment. If the attachment is of type audio, delete that specific recording. And remember, this delete recording method is just going through the file manager and is removing it. So let us go right ahead and validate and make sure that that is working. I'm going to run the project on the simulator now. Okay, go to channel tab screen, QA user 50. Hello, we are back. All right, let's click stop. Hello, we are back. All right, now let's pay attention to our console. And let us go right ahead and remove that file. Look at that. It says file was deleted at, and then it pastes the file name. And as you can see, this delete audio recording is properly working. Okay, so we are able to delete audio files, and we are able to preview our file. The last bit of the equation for us is to actually show the timer, because right now, when you start recording a new voice message, right, we would like for us to know how much seconds we've already recorded. And as you can see in our console, we are actually printing that elapsed time, because if we let's stop our voice message, and let's remove it. if you go inside of our voice recorder service that we, built out in our last episode, as you can see, we have the start timer method and this elapsed time property that's actually publishing, and it's increasing every second, and it's letting us know, if the voice message is 1 second long or 10 seconds long. So we can actually use this elapsed time to power our text input area. So I'm going to go inside of our text input area now. So right here inside of our chats folder, views, I'm going to open that text input area component under a different tab. And now what do we want to do? Well, in a perfect world, of course, we just want to bind that elapsed time down here. Also, I would not want us to actually have the recording. I don't want the is recording property because the text input area actually does not own that value. The actual source of truth for this is recording is the voice recording service, voice recorder service, because that is this property right here. This is recording. So I want to pass this all the way from the voice recorder service to our text input area. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, let's first set up our text input area. So I'm going to convert this from a recording, from a state variable to an actual binding. So now I'm going to go right ahead and say binding. Okay. And I'm going to move this closure here because I want the trailing closure syntax. So this is no longer going to be private. I'm going to say binding is recording. What else do we want? Well, this needs to be a Boolean now because, we're going to be binding the value down from the parent view. Okay, so now what do we want to do? Well, if it's recording, also I would like to get the elapsed time because the voice recorder service also has this time interval, which lets us know how many seconds we have recorded. So I'm going to create another binding variable here, and I'm going to say, I don't know, elapsed time. I think that's a good name. Feel free to call it whatever you want. So it's going to be a time interval, which again, it's a double. It's just a time interval in seconds. So now I think we have everything that we need, guys. I'm going to migrate the state property up here, the one that says expulsion. Okay. So what do I want to do? Well, I want to pass this from the chat room screen to my text input area. First off, our preview is going to yell at us. So let us go right ahead and fix that very quickly. So text input area, it is going to ask for a message. I'm going to use a constant and is recording. Again, constant, false, constant, 0, action handler. I don't really care about this. I'm just going to put a comment there. And now let's go into our chat room screen. So our chat room screen should yell at us. I'm going to open up the chat room screen, which is inside of our chats folder and underneath the views folder. So our chat room screen is now, text input area in our chat room screen is now yelling at us. So I'm going to fix that pretty quickly. I'm going to recreate it, text input area. Okay, let me see what arguments we need to pass into our text input area now. So the first thing that we need to do is I'm going to properly indent these. So the text message, and then there is recording, and then let's see, it's recording, elapsed time in a new line, action handler. I'm going to enter that so you can give us the action. And of course, I'm going to call the view model for the specific action. So we already have the text message. So I'm going to pass the text message back here inside of our view model. So we need two things in our view model. We need a is recording property and an elapsed time property inside of our chat room view model, right? And another thing I want us to do is, so let's go into, before we do that actually, let's go into our chat room view model. I'm sort of all over the place here. Let's go into our chat room view model and let's actually create a published property for, knowing if a voice recording is actually happening. Because remember the voice recorder service is the single source of truth, but we're going to use combine to propagate that message from the voice recorder service to our chat room view model. And here's how we're going to do that. So underneath this video player state, I'm going to create another published property. And this one, what's a good name for us to call it? I think is recording voice message, a good name. It's pretty descriptive, right? It's going to start off as false as well. And then I'm also going to create another published property for the, elapsed time. So I'm going to say elapsed voice message time. Pretty lengthy, but I think it's descriptive enough. It's going to be of time interval. So time interval, and it's going to start off at 0 seconds, right? Okay, so I have this to method. Well, now let's go back to our chat room view model, our chat room screen, and now we're going to bind that. So I'm going to say view model dot is recording voice message, and for the elapsed time, it's going to be view model dot elapsed voice message time. Okay, so I have those two. I'm going to remove this previous text input area, setup. And what do I want us to do now, guys? Well, remember this is recording message. Let's go into our chat room view model. What's going to propagate this? What's going to toggle this? Well, we already have that inside of our voice recorder service. And all we really need to do inside of this voice recorder service, if you think about it, is to just convert these two properties into some sort of a current value subjects publisher. So we could use combine for that, or we could just straight up go ahead and use the, the publish property wrapper. So I think I'm just going to opt for the publish property wrapper here. Again, I just really want something that's a current value subject publisher that's going to hold on to its last value. So I'm going to do the same thing for the elapsed time as well. I'm just going to use the publish property, and it gets us the same thing. Also, I'm going to lock this. I don't want this to be changed anywhere else, especially in this instance, except from inside of the voice recorder service. Of course, if you're writing unit tests for these things, you would have to think very properly about how to actually set up your access modifiers. But in this situation of a tutorial demo, I think this makes sense. So the other thing I want us to do now is, so now that we have these two, we know they're publishers, so we know they're going to emit value when they change. Let us go into our chat room view model now, and now let us set up some sort of a listener. So right underneath the listen to auth state, I'm going to set up a new method And what do we want this new method to be, guys? So inside of our chat room view model, I'm going to set up another new method. I'm just going to call it setup voice recorder listeners. I think that's a good name. Set up voice recorder listener, recorder. Set up voice recorder listeners. Okay, that's a good name. And again, now we could just say voice recorder service dot is recording. Remember, it's now a publisher, right? As you can see, published. It's now a publisher. So is recording. We can sync into it, but let's receive it on the main thread. So I'm going to say dot receive on dispatch queue dot main, and now let us sync right into it. So what are we going to be getting back? Well, we're going to know when this voice recorder service toggles is recording property to true or false. So for example, when we start recording or when we stop recording, we're going to get that combined, publication right here. So now I'm going to, let's use a weak self in our capture list to prevent memory leaks. And the other thing I want us to do in here now is I'm going to say self dot is recording voice message is going to be equals to, so this is going to return us something right here, is recording. It's going to return us the actual Boolean value. So I'm going to say is recording, and we need to store this combined listener inside of our subscriptions. I think we have a subscriptions any cancelable set. So that's perfect. This helps us listen to the is recording Boolean. We need to do the same thing for the elapsed time. So I'm just going to go right ahead and copy this. Let me indent it really quickly. Okay, it's properly indented. I'm going to go right ahead and copy this, paste this here. But instead of the is recording, we're going to be listening for the elapsed time. So this is the timer that lets us know how many seconds we have recorded for our voice message. And for this one, I'm going to call it elapsed time. And this is not going to be the is recording voice message. This is going to be the elapsed voice message time. I think that's a pretty good name. And that pretty much solves all of our issues. So now we need to call the setup, voice recorder listeners inside of our initializer. So inside of our init block, underneath the odd state listener and the photo selection listener, I'm going to say setup voice recorder listeners. Okay. So now I'm going to go inside of our chat, inside of our text input area, because now that we're able to get this information all the way from the voice recorder service into our chat room view model, we can now listen to that inside of our text input area and use that to actually power our timer and our animations that we see in the completed version of the project. So now inside of our text input area, I'm going to scroll all the way to the top. And now let us add some sort of an unchanged listener to these Boolean values. So for the is recording, I would like to know when it changes. So I'm going to say unchange of is recording. Okay, what do I want? So all I care about is just the is recording. I'm just going to, remove this too. I just care about is recording. And let's see. I'm going to say if is recording. Oh, why is this yelling at us? Oh, that's the old value. Okay, let's revert that. So this is the old value. This is the new value. So I'm going to say if new value, which is again Boolean. I'm just going to call it is recording as well. Is recording. If it is recording, then I'm going to say, let's see. So essentially what I want to do is I want to create this pulsing animation. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here inside of, there's a place where we're doing it, inside of our audio recorder button. We're triggering this is recording toggle. We don't want to do that here anymore, guys, because remember the voice recorder service is going to be responsible for actually toggling the is recording Boolean property. So all this audio recorder button function is, button is going to do is just going to trigger the action handler and allow our chat room view model to call onto our voice recorder service. So now let's scroll all the way up. Back inside of our is recording unchanged. So I'm going to paste in this animation. So all I want to do is I want to say, if it is recording, then I want this to animate. Remember, it's repeating forever. So it's just going to keep repeating until we stop recording. And if we're no longer recording, I guess, is this even necessary? But let's just put this here. I'm going to say is pulsing is equals to false. So I think that's pretty much all we need to really show our timer. Okay, the other thing we want to do, so this handles the pulsing. The other thing we want to do is our timer right here. So right here inside of our audio recorder session indicator view, remember, again, if we go inside of Xcode, and if we go in the completed version of the project, or is that a completed version of the project? I think that is the completed version of the project. If we record a new audio, right, we have this nice, beautiful timer right here, and we have this pulsing animation. So what we just did handles the pulsing animation. Now I want us to bind to that timer that is being emitted from our voice recorder service. So the way for us to do this pretty quickly inside of here is we're just going to say this elapsed time. Remember, it's a binder, so it's going to be refreshing our view, right? I would like for us to do some sort of a format elapsed time. And let's see, format elapsed time. So there's no such thing as that right now on time interval. So I'm going to go right ahead and create an extension on time interval, and I'm going to use that. And let's see. So let's go inside of our extension right here, folder, create a new file. And this extension file is going to be a Swift file. And I'm just going to call it time interval plus extensions. And so we're going to extend our time interval. And I'm going to create a computer property, honestly. It doesn't even need to be a function. So a computer property called format elapsed time. It's going to return a string, not a time interval. It's going to return a string. So I'm going to say let minutes I think there's better ways to actually do this formatting now. I would have to check, but I'm just going to go with this. We just want to format seconds and minutes. And the other bit that we need is seconds. But I'm pretty sure we have more modern time interval formatter these days, actually. Guys, comment below if there's a better way to do this. I'm sure there is. I'm just being lazy. I'm just using this way that I pretty much already have this memorized. So string, and then we're going to formats. And what do we want? So I think the formula or the signature is %02D colon %, 02D. I could be wrong. And then we're going to pass in our minutes and our seconds. Okay, so this is our time interval. And now while we're here, why don't we just create another static variable for our stop time interval? So I'm going to say static var stop time interval instead of just passing 0 all over the place. This just looks more elegant. Oh, not really. It's just a matter of taste, to be honest. But I'm just gonna go with this time interval. Okay, now that we're done with this elapsed time interval, let us go back to our text input area. So right in here, now we're just going to say format elapsed time. And this is going to give us that, that look of like, 0, 0, and, 0, 1, and all the way to seconds and minutes. And I think that gets the job done for the most part. Feel free to modify these things to, your specific use case. So let us see. There's other places that I passed in zeros where I am actually stopping audio. So I'm going to go right ahead and look for, I want to replace something pretty quickly before we wrap up this episode. I'm going to say audio. Where are we doing audio? Or let me say dot audio. Okay, so we have dot audio here. Where is it? Not inside of our message items. Not here, not here, not here. I mean, we just did right here. So instead of our media attachment preview, actually, instead of using 0, I'm just going to say dot stub time interval. So let me go look for stub URL instead. That should get me what I'm looking for. Stub 0. So instead of our chat room view model, right here where we're removing a deselected, voice preview, I'm going to use stub interval, time interval right in there. This is inside of our chat room view model. Hopefully you guys are following along. I think that looks much cleaner. So let us run our projects now. We're almost done. There's one last thing I would like for us to handle, which just relates to how we tear down and clear out everything when we're actually done recording. And I'll show you guys in a second. So let us demo this, make sure our timer is working and our animation is working. So let's go right ahead and record another voice message. What's up, guys? Hello, it's your boy Osas. Look at that beautiful animation. The timer is working, the pulsing animation is working, and when we click stop, it just stops and it looks gorgeous. And when we click check, look at that. Everything is working as expected. And when we click remove, as you can see from the console, it actually removes the audio message from our file manager. So everything is pretty much good, except there's one final piece of the puzzle that I would like for us to do. So let's say, for example, you're recording a voice message, right? And for whatever reason, you just leave the chat room while you're recording a voice message. Like that actually doesn't, remove or clear out things from our file manager. And that's not really a good idea. I would like for us to remove a bunch of this file manager of voice messages that we've stored on disk from our phone's memory. And the way for us to do that is to add a bunch of a quick logic inside of our dinit block. So this is let's go into our chat room view model. We're actually in our chat room view model right now. I have a bunch of tabs open, so I got me confused for a second. So inside of our deinitializer, this is basically, going to get fired whenever you about to deallocate an object from memory. I would like for us to be able to do something like voice recorder service dot teardown. Okay. And also I'm going to go inside of this teardown method inside of our voice recorder service. So let's jump into our voice recorder service. And what do I want to do with the teardown? Actually, while we are tearing down, I would like for us to check if an audio recording is actually happening. If one is happening, then I want us to actually stop recording and then remove that audio recording. So I'm going to say if recording is happening, stop recording. And why am I doing this? Because like I said, if you're recording a voice message and for whatever reason you abruptly leave the chat room, so let's say you're recording a voice message right now, everything is going good, but you don't actually stop, you don't explicitly stop the recording, and you just leave the chat room, that voice message is still going to be on disk, and there's no reason for us to do that. So this is going to help us handle that, and basically we're going to fire this teardown whenever the chat room view model is being deinitialized. You know what? Actually, I'm even going to go a step further. Why even stop at just the deinitializer of the chat room view model? We can even do it here as well. So I'm going to say deinit here as well, and I'm going to say teardown. It doesn't hurt. It does not hurt to have it called multiple times. And I'm just going to say voice recorder service has been deinited. All right, let us run our projects now. I believe everything is pretty much good to go for this voice recorder functionality. Let us go into this message. Let us start recording. And let us check, keep an eye on our console. Let us get right ahead and leave the chat room abruptly. Okay, look at that. It says, right, voice recorder service was successfully teared down, and it removed a bunch of this garbage from our file manager, from our disk. I'm pretty sure this ones that it's removing, it's the previous ones that we had been recording that we had not removed. And let us validate that again really quickly. Let's say we record, and then we leave the chat room. Okay, when we leave the chat room, as you can see, it removes an audio file, which is awesome. So that's pretty much it for this, functionality. In the next couple of episodes, we are actually going to be uploading our voice messages, our photo messages, and our video messages to our users. So this is the fun bit where we're starting to get to the meat and potatoes of a lot of our logic. And there's a bunch of console garbage right now. We can fix that in, upcoming episodes. But for now, I think that looks pretty good. And again, we can select photos. We can select videos. And this is yelling at us. We can also fix that in another episode. Ooh, actually, you know what? There was one final bit of logic. This is awesome, actually, that I just discovered that by mistake. And so right now, as you can tell, when we select another item from our photo picker, right? Let's say we record an audio, 1, 2, 3, right? And then we go select an item from our, let's say, from our photo picker. Where is our audio? Now our audio has been banished to obscurity. So let us go right ahead and fix that pretty quickly. And the solution to that is actually pretty simple. If we jump into our chat room view model, it's basically the way we are, the way we are removing this items and the way we are reloading our items that's causing this. So I'm going to expand Xcode all the way. And let's see, I'm going to scroll all the way down to not this method. I'm looking for the method that listens for photo picker. So on photo picker selection right here, on photo picker selection, as you can see, we're saying self.member media attachments. We're removing all those items. And remember, the reason we're removing them is because we want to reset up the photo picker items. And I'm sure we can come up with a better and more elegant way to sort of fix it. But for now, let us settle for something like this. So what I want us to do is to filter, because when you select a new photo picker item, we don't actually want to discard all of our voice messages that we've recorded. What I would like for us to do is create something. I would like for us to use the filter. So I'm going to say audio recording. Or you can call it voice messages, it doesn't matter. Audio recordings, and I'm just going to say media attachments. Oh, look at that. That is beautiful. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm saying filter and give me my audio recordings instead of my media attachments. And we have to use the stop. So I'm going to say stop URL and stop time interval. Okay. And so now what do I want to do? Now I'm just going to say self.media attachments is just equal to this audio recordings. So really, I'm just making sure I take out any audio recording that currently exists inside of our media attachment preview before I reset up our photo picker items. So now let us run our project and let's see what happens. I think that should fix a bunch of our issues. Okay, let's go to our channel tab screen, go to QA user 50, let us record. Hello, hello, hello. Look at that animation. That looks so clean, guys. I actually just noticed another bug, but we're going to fix that really quickly. So let's see. We have our audio recorder done. Let us select a bunch of photo picker item. Right now, before we set up this solution, this should actually remove that audio recorder, but hopefully that is not the case. Look at that. Our audio recorder our voice message still exists. That is awesome. And our video is, of course, working. So that's perfect. The one thing I noticed when I said there was a bug is, so essentially, when you're recording an audio, I actually want to disable the image picker button, right? Because if you're using the voice recorder, I don't want you to be opening the image picker, and also like playing a video at the same time. So I'm going to go right ahead and fix that. And the way to fix that is let's jump into Xcode and let us create a little bit more space for ourselves. And inside of here, we're going to go inside of our text input area. So text input area, and we basically want to disable this, send button. Well, not send button. We want to disable the image picker button. So I'm going to go to image picker button. We have it right here. And I'm just going to say disabled. And what do I want to disable it? Well, I want to disable it if we're actually recording, right? And if we're not recording, there's no need to disable it. And I'm going to add a grayscale just to give it a nice appearance. I'm going to say is recording. And I don't know, what do you guys think? 0.8? Yeah, I think that looks good. If not, it's 0. So let's go right ahead and run our projects pretty quickly. And we're waiting for the simulator. Okay. Awesome. Let's go right inside of our channel tab screen. Go right here. Let's start recording a new voice message. Look at that. It disables the image picker button. Let's stop recording the message. Look at that. It enables it back. Disables. Enables. Okay. So let us remove this. Let us add a new image. And that is working as I expected. Awesome. It's a little jumpy, but it's not bad. It's manageable. And that's pretty much it for this episode, guys. Thank you for watching as always. I really appreciate the support. Please like and subscribe. Please. It really means the world to me. Like these episodes, they take a lot of time to create. And, I have a regular job, so I have to do this in my free time. But this is my way of giving back to the community. I've learned so much from some amazing people online. And I really appreciate the support. Please like and subscribe. Share this with your iOS friends. It means the world to me. And I'll see you guys in the next episode where we're actually going to start uploading our, photo, media, and voice messages to our chat partners. Hopefully you guys are having fun. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.